So I watched cult classic 90s sitcom show Friends, and I have a lot to say about this show. Okay, so quick little backstory. My wife is a big fan of this show. She hadn't watched it in a long time. She watched it years ago when she was in high school or whatever, and she wanted me to watch it. We have watched sitcoms together before, such as New Girl, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just shows like that. Shows that are supposed to be funny, that are sitcoms. The definition of a sitcom, by the way, is situational comedy, which Friends obviously is. And so she showed me this show, and when I watch TV, I am able to turn my brain off for a lot of things. And this show specifically, though, I was having a really hard time getting through this show because it feels I had a hard time as viewing it as just a goofy show. I was taking the characters as real characters that are trying to be like tell a story. And there's a lot of problems with this show, man. Now, listen, again, I understand if you are a fan of this show and you like to throw it on the TV in the background while you're doing something, or maybe you're trying to go to sleep, or you just throw the show on, you pick a random spot, whatever season, and you watch this show and you like to see the characters that you know, the familiarity of it, the same place, the same characters, and it's a very fun, enjoyable show. I understand that. But my experience is binging it and taking it as a story that the writers are trying to tell. So, when I say this, I'm not a big fan of this show. I want to say I laughed at this show. This show is very funny. All the characters have funny lines, funny moments over the course of 10 seasons. They have good stuff in here. They have hard-hitting emotional stuff in here, but I cannot help but think that the writers obviously were trying to milk this show for every dollar that they could. They do almost nothing with these characters, and it's a big fucking problem for me. I can't help it. Joey as a character, Phoebe and Joey are my two favorite characters. They do nothing with Joey as a character. They just make him a punchline machine, and that's fine. But they don't actually do anything with these characters. Okay, before I get into all that, here's how this is going to be broken down, okay? I'm going to do just a generic ramble of the show and things I've noticed about the show from all 10 seasons. And then after that, I will do specifics of each character and what I have to say about the characters from start to finish in the show. So, for the generic bit of this show, the problem that I have with this show is I don't know who this show is for. Okay? Hi, it's a sitcom. They're just trying to tell jokes and be funny. I get that. Okay? But even the jokes, I don't understand who they're for. For example, this show is about a group of adults who are in their late 20s, early 30s by the end of the show, and it is all about adult life. Working a job, maintaining friendships, maintaining relationships, right? Things that have to pertain to adult life. But a lot of the jokes in this show are high school level jokes, or it's a character talking in a high pitched voice or in a weird way, or high school level jokes, a character being scared of their parents, specifically Ross and Monica. These characters are afraid to be adults. But then in the next scene, right, they'll have high school level humor about, dicks and butts and like, or like, oh, what, I don't know. But then the next one, they'll have a complete innuendo about having sex and getting freaky and nasty and doing crazy, naughty shit. And in my brain, I can't tell who this is for. Is this for a person in their 20s who is also going through life? Because the sex jokes and whatever, having sex and all that, those jokes that this show makes. But then Ross as a character, some of his jokes are him just talking in a high-pitched voice, or them calling Chandler gay because he likes to wear a blazer. Like it's like I don't know what the jokes are trying to be. And there's other problems where sometimes jokes aren't even jokes. This show is so formulaic, and I understand that it's a live audience and there's a laugh track, and this sitcom, Friends, is of its time. I'm not saying it doesn't age well, but you can very clearly, when you put this show on, understand that it is of the 90s. So when a character is like, I don't know, and then a laugh track plays, it's like, when I'm watching it in 2026, was that a joke? Was Chandler or Ross shrugging their shoulders because they don't know? Is that actually a joke? Or is that just we're conditioned to laugh by the laugh track and the fact that the characters or the actors pause for a second for laughter? Does that make sense? And like, again, I am trying to view this as a comedy, but also as a story with actual characters. These writers, they don't do anything. Ross and Rachel do a will they, won't they story for 10 full seasons, and it's the worst, most annoying thing. And I genuinely have to think, were there fans writing into this show who wanted Ross and Rachel to get together? Because why did they play around with it for 10 entire seasons? I think that these two are the worst people to put in a relationship because they are incredibly toxic for each other, and yet they do this shit for 10 seasons. It's fucking miserable. It's so miserable. A lot of this show's formula in the first 5 seasons, okay, is this, right? And after a certain point, this changes between two characters, but specifically with Monica, Rachel, Joey, or I'm sorry, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe, right? This is the setup for Friends. This is all the way through season 6, okay? 1 through 6, or I'm sorry, 1 through 5, starting with 6. This is the formula of the show, okay? Character, one of the friends, gets into a relationship. That person that they're in a relationship with is around for about 2 episodes, and then they break up for whatever reason, and then rinse and repeat, introduce new character. The only characters that this doesn't pertain to, and it still pertains to them, is Ross and Rachel, because Ross will get a girlfriend, Rachel will be jealous, Ross will break up with said girlfriend for Rachel. Then Rachel will realize she doesn't want to be with Ross. She'll get a boyfriend. Ross is hung up on Rachel. Then it's the fucking worst. And this show goes on in circles, and it doesn't even do. Ross and Rachel, they play in our face just for them to still be the worst couple in the entire show. And the only reason that I say this formula stops at season 6 is because Monica and Chandler get together. Monica goes through Richard. She goes through Happy Hogan from MCU. I don't know the actor's name, I'm sorry, and I don't remember his name in the show. Phoebe does the same thing. She'll get with a guy. They'll break up in 2 episodes. It's fucking incredibly formulaic and to a fault, to a bad thing. Yes, this show has incredible jokes that make me laugh and really well, but this show won't do emotion at all. This show does nothing of emotional weight because every time that they almost do something worthwhile with my emotions of these characters, my feelings for these characters, they throw a fucking laugh track in here that ruins it. The best emotional scene that I can say that doesn't get ruined by a goddamn laugh track is when Phoebe has her triplets and she's talking to these children that she carried around for not 3 years, but these children that she carried around for 9 months and aren't even going to be hers. She birthed them, and she's having this conversation, and it actually lets you feel the emotion that Phoebe is feeling. And even in that scene, there's a laugh track, but it's not a forced joke. And what I'm trying to say is, in a lot of emotional scenes, right, they'll have Chandler break the emotion with a joke. They'll have, if there's a emotional moment going on between Joey and Monica, or specifically, I'm thinking Rachel and Joey later on in these seasons, there's emotional stuff where Joey wants to be with Rachel because he's having dreams and he's falling in love with her, and he tells her this, and she says that doesn't feel the same way. And it's a very emotional scene because Joey is one of my favorite characters, but I actually think that Joey and Rachel would have made a good couple because of how they are. And she says she doesn't feel the same. And it's actually emotional because you feel bad for Joey, but you don't expect Rachel to be in a relationship that she doesn't want to be in. And then you have like the waiter come in and ask if they want fucking breadsticks and then a laugh. Like, it's like, dude, can we actually feel for these fucking characters instead of the goddamn writers throwing in a joke every 5 seconds? It's genuinely infuriating to watch. And again, I understand that this critique might not be a thing if you are watching the show sparingly or throwing it on every once in a while, but I binged this show, so I am expecting the every time I watch an episode, I don't expect every single episode to advance the plot to some giant omega level overarching plot. I'm not saying that I expect that, but when you have, like, specifically, Joey is falling in love with Rachel, okay? They have a sit down dinner and he explains himself to her in a really heartfelt moment, and she says that she doesn't feel the same way. Literally, the next season or the next couple of episodes, I don't know exactly how long it is because I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact fucking episodes. Rachel starts to fall in love with Joey after Joey got over Rachel. And then Joey finds out, and then they like do a will they won't they just for them to not do it. I can't. I can't. This show goes nowhere. It does nothing. Also, again, with this show, I said earlier that this show is about adults who go to work and have to manage relationships and all that shit. These characters spend more time in a coffee shop than they do at their job. Also, Ross is a father. This whole show starts with Ross getting his wife pregnant, who is a lesbian, so he ends up getting divorced, but he has a son. His son is a character for the first season and a half and then disappears until he comes back in as like a fucking 4-year-old. This show is about adults, but all of the adult stuff in it, except sex. Sex is the only adult thing that they keep throughout this show. This show is so infuriating. Like, to actually care about these characters and enjoy these characters, you almost have to not enjoy them, because if you care about where they're going with their characters, they don't do anything. Throughout this entire show, Joey was dating on and off people, dating, on and off, just for the end of the show for him to be single. That's it. He doesn't get a relationship. He doesn't get anything. Like, I can't, bro. I can't with this show. I like this show, but there is so many problems that I have. Another thing I have about this show that I want to bring up is I get that it's sitcom logic. Please. Kai, it's a sitcom. It's not real life. I know. I understand that. I understand that this is a show that is supposed to entertain people and make people laugh. I am aware of this fact. But here is a problem, okay? They establish that Phoebe and Joey, these two characters who are my favorite characters, they establish that Phoebe lived a life that no other character has lived in this show. She has gone through things that no other character has gone through in this show. She has lived on the street. She's been homeless. She's been living with people she's not related to. She struggled, all this kind of stuff, right? Joey, they established he's a good person, good guy, who, that's another thing that I'm going to say about Joey later on, is he is a good friend. He's a good person, but he's dumb. He likes to eat and he likes to sleep with women, but he's dumb. He is a dumb idiot person, right? Those two characters are established. But Monica is established to be a smart, a well-crafted chef who is a neat freak who has like OCD, but she is a smart person. Ross is a fucking archaeologist who is a professor who teaches college level classes. Chandler is a smart data entering, data company working, pretty much a smart, intelligent person. Rachel is a rich person who isn't connected to her money anymore and basically has to make her own way. But with those four people, Monica, Chandler, Ross, and Rachel, those four characters, they are established to not be dumb characters. And Phoebe isn't even a dumb character either, but I am more of talking about those four when I make this complaint. Depending on what joke they want to make, these characters, the four that I mentioned, will jump into being the butt of the joke and the idiot. And I hate that. if Chandler is the butt of the joke, Ross, Rachel, and Monica are way smarter than Chandler, and they make fun of Chandler for being dumb. And then in the next scene, if Ross is the butt of the joke, Chandler, Monica, and Rachel all make fun of Ross for being this fucking big buffoon, even though he's established to be one of the smartest characters. What I'm trying to get at is, depending on what they're trying to joke about, all of these characters are the same person. They have their quirks that make them individuals, but based on the coffee shop joke that they're trying to make in this scene, they all are a level of idiot. They are all a level of smartness. They are all a level of informed. They are all a level of uninformed. All of these characters interchange their knowledge or their understanding or whatever, depending on what joke the writers are trying to make. And I get it, it's a sitcom, but at the same time, you can't tell me that Ross in his day job is teaching college level archaeology and the study of evolution to college level people, and then go to the coffee shop and not realize that his fly is down, or that there's so, depending on who they want to be the smart person in the scene and make fun of the other person in the scene, it just varies. And also, I get it, another sitcom thing, it's sitcom logic. If this camera isn't on a person, they can't hear what the people who are in camera are saying, because there will be times where they're like, is he actually wearing that ugly ass outfit? And then it'll cut to the person with the ugly ass outfit just being like, da da da, da da da, even though they're 2 feet away from the person who just called their outfit ugly as fuck, loud as shit. I don't like that. Don't act like the person can't, or if the joke requires the person in the ugly ass outfit to hear them say that, then they'll hear it depending on what the joke is. And it's like inconsistent as fuck. It feels like this show conditions you to laugh at shit that doesn't make sense just because there's a laugh track. And I don't like that. The reason that I also brought up Joey and Phoebe is like, it's made a point that Joey is not the smartest person. Like, he knows how to talk to girls. He's got a lot of like charisma in that aspect. He's a good looking dude. And honestly, like, the kind of thing is like, can he act? Can he not actually act? Like, he's good at it sometimes, but bad at it sometimes. But they establish that Joey is stupid. So when they make a joke, like, Chandler or Monica make a joke towards Joey of being like, oh, that's not correct because he's a buffoon, they've established that. So it doesn't feel like a random time where Joey is the smartest person in the room and then the next scene he's a fucking moron. They establish that he's pretty fucking aloof. I wouldn't even say that he's dumb, because Joey is incredibly emotionally intelligent, which is something that I'll get into when I do the character specific stuff. But like, they established that Joey isn't the most book smart person, but he is a good friend. He likes to do the right thing and be a good guy. So, but when it comes to like book smarts, Ross can make fun of Joey because of course Joey's not going to be as smart as Ross. But then the next scene, Ross will be like, oh, he reads a word wrong or something. And then Joey all of a sudden knows the right way to read it. And there's too much back and forth of characters not actually being themselves just so that the writers can throw in a joke. Again, there are some great jokes in this show. I'm not even going to sit here in front. Some of the funniest jokes I've ever seen that I've laughed really hard at. Another problem that I have that's just generic is, except for Joey, I don't care. I'm going to ride for Joey every day of the week. Even Phoebe, even though I think that she might be my favorite ahead of Joey, a little bit, is most of these people aren't good people. Like, Ross, Chandler, Monica, and Rachel are, for the most part, aren't good people. And I know that this is going to sound crazy because they're fictional characters, but like, Rachel, her character arc is becoming a better person. She starts out rich with money and kind of looks down on people, and throughout the show she actually has to work for her own shit, and at the end of the show I think Rachel is probably the best written character because of the arc that she went through over the course of this show. But Monica, Ross, and Chandler, and even Phoebe, these characters lie to each other all the time. And like, I understand that, like, this is how friend groups work. You make fun of each other. You joke with each other. Sometimes you make a joke towards this friend, and in a different scenario, you'll make a joke towards this friend and be on this friend's side. I get that's how it works. But like, Monica and Chandler, like, there are points in this show where they will take advantage of random characters that aren't in the friend group, or these people do things that take advantage of other people in the show. And except Joey. Joey is the only one that actually feels guilty about his actions, where everybody else doesn't really give a fuck, and they will take somebody else's loss as their personal gain. And it's kind of hard. Again, I'll have specifics because that's what I wanted to do for this review. I like this show. I have a lot of problems with this show. It's a funny show, but there's a lot of problems that I have with this show. But a lot of it stems from very specific scenarios that I want to bring forward to any super fan of Friends that's gonna hate on me and give me a lot of shit for saying a lot of this shit. Like, I want to give you specifics and why I think the way that I do. So with that being said, we are going to go into character specific stuff, how this show has grown, but how these characters have grown and how I perceive them throughout the show. All right, here's one for Monica. We're going to start with Monica, okay? Monica is known to be a control freak, a neat freak. She wants everything to be clean. She has a very specific way of doing things, and that's okay. You can have that character. She cooks for everybody. She's a chef. She always hosts like Thanksgiving for everybody. She's really, and for the most part, Monica is a nice, good character person. But there are a couple times where Monica is not a good person, and I want it to be known. Specifically, again, I'm a big fan of Phoebe, so this stuck out for me. Phoebe asked Monica to run her wedding. Monica obviously wants to do this because she's a control freak. There's a point where Phoebe is trying to rehearse her not her vows, but her speech for her wedding. And Monica is constantly going, you got to hurry it up. Come on, you got to cut that out. And then Phoebe freaks out and is like, I can't do this. I can't do this under the stress that you're forcing me to have. Mind you, it's a rehearsal dinner. Okay? Yes, Monica wants Monica doesn't care that it's Phoebe's day, is my point. Monica cares that she's in control. She wants everything to her exact fucking beck and call, and it's Phoebe's marriage. It has nothing to do with Monica except that Phoebe asked. So then Phoebe says, I don't want you to run my wedding anymore because you're being rude about it. And Phoebe realizes, oh my God, this is a lot more than I asked for. I'm going to ask Monica to run my wedding, please. I'm sorry. And Monica goes, I don't know. Do you want me to? Do you want it done in a timely fashion? She's basically taking a moral high ground when she was being the fucking bitch in the first place. She was being rude and disrespectful to Phoebe's day, Phoebe's rehearsal dinner. She was being rude and disrespectful, taking control of Phoebe's thing for like my wife, like the marriage. That is your day. Like, that is Phoebe's day. That is her day, and Monica is taking control. And then when Phoebe is like, can you please help me, I'm sorry, she's taking a moral high ground. That's a bad fucking thing, especially for somebody that's your fucking friend. You don't do that to somebody. That left a bad taste in my mouth. One thing about Monica that I didn't really like is that they always talk about Monica that she was fat back in the day. And then they always make jokes like, oh my God, I mean, you were the size of a bus. You could eat a fucking school full of children. Monica was not that fat. As a matter of fact, she wasn't even really fat. She was just a little bigger. Like, she wasn't stick thin frail. And again, I know that this show is of its time. I understand that in the 90s, if you're a woman and you weigh 140 pounds, it's like, oh, get this whale out of here. But it's like, dude, when they would put Monica in the fat suit and then treat her like she's like a 700-pound fucking person, she was like not even that at all. And it was always frustrating because, like, can we not be so fucking dramatic and over the top? It's like, she's not even fucking fat. Like, I don't know. Last thing for Monica. I don't have a lot to say about Monica. I like Monica as a character. But there's when Monica and Chandler get together, they're like, we're moving in together, Rachel. You have to get out, basically. And they're like, hey, you have like 2 days to get out. We want this spare bedroom, right? And, I'm thinking at the time, okay, right, they want to have kids, they want to have a room for their kid or something like that, right? They don't want to, they want to have that extra room. They kick Rachel out, which, mind you, starts one of the more fun parts where Rachel moves in with Phoebe, which I really like. I like Rachel and Phoebe becoming friends separate from Monica, because Monica is friends with Phoebe, and then Monica's friends with Rachel, and throughout the start of the show, Rachel and Phoebe are kind of like, their connection is through Monica, and Monica is the glue for this entire friend group. But I like when Rachel and Phoebe live together because they become friends on their own, separate from Monica, and I like that a lot. I like when the writers made that change. They actually moved these characters in together, you know? But they kick Rachel out because they want to have this extra spare room, and then Monica turns it into a guest room. Hey, guess what? You know what happens in a guest room? Somebody sleeps in there. And also, these people are at Monica's apartment more than their own jobs. Why does it matter if Rachel's sleeping in there or not? Because Rachel spends more time at your house whether or not she's living there. She's like, it's just a weird thing to kick Rachel out so quickly just to turn it into a room where people can stay because Rachel was staying there. I don't know. I think that this show gets its best at season 6 and onward. When I think some of the best stuff is when when Monica and Chandler are sleeping together and Joey knows about it, but doesn't, but they don't want him to know about it. I'm sorry. Monica and Chandler are sleeping together. Joey knows about it, but they don't want the rest of the friend group to know, so they constantly make Joey keep his mouth closed. Another bad thing for Monica and Chandler is like Monica was going over to Chandler's apartment to sleep over there, and like she like left her panties or her bra or something, and Rachel or Phoebe find the bra and are like, oh my god, why is this over here? And instead of Monica and Chandler admitting that they're sleeping together and telling their friends of multiple years that they are seeing each other, they say that Joey is a pervert and was taking Monica's bra or panties. Are you serious? You make him look like a weird fucking sex creep who is sniffing or taking her bra and panties. Joey is taking her bra and panties just to keep a lie that two grown adults. This is another thing. I said, who is this show for? The joke is that they're sleeping together behind each other's backs. You guys are 30 years old. Who fucking cares? I get it. The show is trying to be funny. They're trying to do situational comedy where Monica has to hold her head under the bath because she doesn't want Joey to see that Chandler and Monica are in the bath together, so she goes under the water. I get that that's the kind of comedy that they're going for, but you're gonna throw Joey under the bus as being this fucking sex creep just to save your fucking relationship, which gets found out anyway. Like, it's stuff like that that bothers me. You're throwing other people under the bus just because you want to keep your relationship a secret. Hey, how about be fucking smarter with your bra and panty placement then? I don't know. But yeah, that's Monica. We're moving on. Okay, we're on to Rachel. I think Rachel is the best written character in this entire show. She actually has an arc that starts and finishes, and I really like her a lot. Again, at the start of the show, she's not really a good person, same as Monica, but the problem with Monica is they like to act like Monica is a good person and then treat Rachel as some kind of bitch who over the course of the show changes. I think that the Ross and Rachel back and forth is the worst thing that they do in this entire show. Two people who clearly should not be together, and as a matter of fact, I don't know what Rachel even sees in Ross. He is a fucking not a good person. He's not entertaining. He's a grown adult crybaby, and it's the fucking worst. The back and forth that they do with these characters is abysmal, man. It's so terrible. It's garbage. I compared this to New Girl. In New Girl, spoilers for New Girl, not really talking about this show much, but the main character, Jess, and one of the roommates, Nick, they have really great chemistry, and they kind of do a thing in one of the earlier seasons where they kind of like each other, but they don't really get together. And then for the rest of the show, they have back and forth, but they don't do a will they, won't they all the time. There are scenes where Jess and Nick can be in the same room doing things that are funny without it being a relationship thing. And at the end of the show, they obviously end up together, and it's a really feel-good moment when they finally get together. But it's because they hint at it in the beginning, and then throughout the middle of the show, they don't constantly do the back and forth where, oh, Ross loves Rachel, but Rachel's with somebody, but then Rachel breaks up with that somebody, but then Ross gets with somebody because he doesn't think that Rachel's going to want to be with him. But then so Rachel broke up and is now jealous of Ross, and then Ross breaks up, but then Rachel. It's the fucking worst for 10 seasons. It's the worst. It's so bad. It's bad. It's not enjoyable. It's not like, oh, I can't wait. No, fucking get rid of both of these characters trying to get together, and this show is 10 times better. With Rachel growing throughout this show, towards the end of the show, I think it's season 9 or season 10, what they do is they introduce Rachel's sister that we have not seen yet. And Rachel's sister is this inclusion is one of the best things that they've done in this show because it actually means something and shows you something. They show Rachel's sister essentially is Rachel at the start of the show versus how she is at the end of the show. Rachel gets annoyed and frustrated and mad at her own sister because of the way that her sister acts. This is exactly how Rachel acted at the beginning of the show, but you see the stark difference because Rachel grows as a character. She has a daughter. She works for all her money that she works at a coffee shop, then she gets a job as a designer, then she moves up, then she moves to like Ralph Lauren, then like Louis Vuitton, and then she has a kid, and it's like they do all this stuff where she actually grows and becomes a better person. So even though I do agree that Rachel is not a good person, similar to Chandler, Monica, whatever, Ross, she actually grows and changes. And by season, I think 7, Jennifer Aniston has the best acting of any of these characters, and she is probably the best character in the show. She has some of the best jokes and is actually like feels like a character that has growth and development, and I really like it. Probably one of her funniest lines is when they're looking at the picture of the baby before she gives birth. I can't remember the oh my god. What is it called? The anagram, not the fucking anagram. What the fuck is it called? Whatever, dude. The picture of the baby in the womb where it's all black and white, and she goes, "I can't see it." It's hilarious. It was so funny. But yeah, I really like Rachel's growth and development. Hate the fact that she ends up with Ross. Don't know what she even sees in this character. Like, he is a man-child baby who cries and bitches and moans and who's afraid of his own parents. He's the worst, man. Ross is the worst character. And I'm not gonna sit here on a high horse. I laughed at some of his stuff. Some of his like high-pitched squeals and whatever. I laughed, but because I'm more of laughing at like a what's the joke? It's like a I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on to Phoebe, my favorite. Phoebe is my favorite because they never actually fully nail down her background. So when like I've seen some people complain that like Phoebe's jokes are kind of out of nowhere and like the most insane things ever because they just happen randomly. But I love the chaos. I love that shit. Like there's one joke that sticks out in my brain. There's a couple jokes that like I think Phoebe has the best joke in the entire show. Where she goes, well, yeah, I lived with my mom and then she killed herself. And then I moved in with a homeless man and then he killed himself. That was the first time I laughed like controllably at Friends, and it'll forever stick. But then there's another joke where she's talking about a cop or something. And she's like, oh, well, I stabbed a cop or whatever. And they're like, Phoebe. And she was like, he stabbed me first. It's fucking great. The fact that she knows the muggers of New York because she was one. The fact that she mugged Ross and took his like comic book or whatever the fuck. Like that like chaos of like Phoebe could have been anybody from the past, or like that you don't really know her backstory, is super great. I think she's so funny. And like when I say, oh, these characters are bad people because they lie to people, Phoebe lies to people for sure. But the second that she gets caught in a lie, she's like, yeah, whatever. So I lied. And it's funny because she's like, she's not going to sit there and try to string you along. She's like, oh, you caught me, whatever. And I like that. I just think that that's funny. And I like Phoebe because they establish her as this chaotic kind of character. Yeah, I love Phoebe. I have like almost no complaints about Phoebe because again, Joey and Phoebe are established as the people they are. So when there's stuff, when Phoebe is extremely random and out of left field, or Joey is incredibly dumb, it's established. But when they do the random left field or the incredibly dumb for the other four, it's like you didn't establish that Ross was a fucking idiot because you've established that he's really smart. So what are we doing? One thing that I want to mention that is my favorite running bit in this entire show, they do it around season 6, I think, because again, I think season 6 and 7 and 8 are about the best. Like once season 6 hits, this show is really good compared to the first couple seasons that are like, dude, it's kind of a slog to get through. They do this thing with Phoebe and Joey where they kind of hint that they have like some kind of sexual relationship or sexual chemistry where like Joey will be like, "Oh, well, your first sugar pie or something." Like, you know what I mean? He'll just throw his like Joey whatever, or like he'll do like the "How you doing?" and Phoebe's like, "Oh my god, stop!" It's like it's the best. Like them flirting with each other is super funny. There's also an episode where they talk about backups, where like if a person hits 40, they have a person that they promise they'll marry if they haven't gotten married before 40 or whatever. And it's like Joey says that he'll be his backup for Rachel, but then you find out that Phoebe and Joey already have said that they're going to be each other's backups. And like, I really like Joey and Phoebe flirting a lot. I just liked it because I like those two characters, and I didn't want Joey and Phoebe to get together, but I like that they kind of had this like secret relationship that even the audience didn't know about, that they would kind of clue us in on. And I always found it really funny, and I really liked it a lot. But yeah, Phoebe, no complaints, 10 out of 10, my favorite character. Real quick, another thing that my wife pointed out that I really like that she pointed out to me is in the start of the show, a lot of their haircuts changed throughout the show. But like Phoebe in the first couple seasons would have like very big hair, like curly or not big hair. I don't mean like her hair would be like poofy, but I mean more of like it would be like in like pigtails, or then it would be like one big braid, or then it would be like curled, or then it'd be straight, and it would be like random every episode. And then once you hit like season 8, her hair's just always straight. All the girls' hair is always straight. And it's like, what? Here we get into the guys. We're going to go with Chandler first. Chandler, in my opinion, is kind of a dull character that he has a lot of screen time, and he's kind of the joke guy. He makes jokes in uncomfortable situations. He's always got a pun or like a wording of something that's to make a joke. But the problem with that is I've already said every character makes their jokes. And so Chandler kind of just falls behind the wayside when I'm trying to review the show, because his plot lines are he always kind of has the same job, and his work never really changes, and his plot line is basically getting with Monica after season 6. All again, I've established this show is a character, Chandler, will date somebody for 3 to 4 episodes, maybe max, and then get a new relationship or be struggling with that. They can't find somebody. And then, Chandler is kind of just a dull character. There's a lot of stuff with his parents where they say, because he has 2 moms, one of his mothers is transgender, and they basically use that as a way to say that Chandler is kind of gay. Be- Whatever. It's like, it's not, their jokes aren't even really funny. It's just like 90s funny because it's gay. Like Chandler might be gay because he what? I don't even fucking know. Like, why do they call Chandler that, like he like might like dudes, or I don't know. Or he'll be like, "Oh, he's a pretty good looking guy," and then they're like, "Oh, really? You fucking gay?" Like it's like what is I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, once Chandler and Monica get together, they're probably the most boring ones, because some of their plots during the episodes, while fucking Rachel and Joey are doing things or having relationship stuff, it's like Chandler wants to get in Monica's closet in the hallway that we've never seen, or like like Chandler doesn't have a job and he's just sitting at home all day. It's like this character doesn't really have much, but I do have instances of him being a bad person. For example, early on, I think it's like season 2 or 3, Joey has an acting partner that he is really in love with and he is dating. Chandler falls in love with her and kind of feels bad about it. Then he kisses her. She kisses him back. He says, "Oh, this is wrong. We shouldn't do this." And then they proceed to make out. And he does feel guilty about it, but Joey, being the best person that he is like, if you're in love with her, you should be with her. And it's like, wow, Joey was mad, but Joey got over it, even though Chandler didn't really like second guess to make out with Joey's girlfriend. And then mind you, he doesn't even end up with her. He loved Joey's girlfriend so much that he wanted to be with her, and Joey was like, "Fine, go for it." And then he ends up with Monica anyway. It's just lackluster as fuck. Another thing, Joey talks about how Chandler always supported Joey and all that stuff, and I do understand that that goes against me being a bad person. He supports Joey. He always gives Joey money, and it's it's a fun. They do a funny thing where Joey's like, "Oh, can I get this much money?" And he's like, "You're gonna pay me back?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure." Like whatever. They do jokes with the Joey owing Chandler money, but then Joey brings Chandler to a premiere of his movie because Joey thinks that Chandler's such a good friend. He brings him to the premiere, and then Chandler falls asleep and then lies to Joey's face about it, even though Joey knows that he's lying. He's like, yeah, man, I loved it. My favorite part was this. And he's like, oh, really? Because there wasn't any of that in the movie. And he was like, oh, well, it's just, I did. And it's like, I don't know, but that's Chandler, whatever. We're going to move on to Joey next. So, Joey is my second favorite character because he is incredibly emotionally intelligent. Joey is the best friend in the friend group, and you can't convince me otherwise. Nothing that any other person, even Phoebe, does in this show, it compares to the things that Joey does for his friends. For example, Rachel, when she's lying to Joey about being in love with him because she doesn't want to tell him, she says something along the lines of, oh, my boss wants to take my baby, because she throws in a random lie, because that's what this friend group does to each other. They make up a random lie, and Joey goes to Rachel's job and tells her boss off, and basically is like, you're not going to do this to my friend. Great friend move. Even if Rachel didn't want him to do that and was lying about it, because she was, Joey still went and stood up for her friend. When the friends are lying, Chandler is lying to Joey because he doesn't want to go to like a ball game, like a baseball game or something. He wants to hang out with Monica. So he lies to Joey and says, hey, I'm not going to be in town. But then Joey hears Monica talking to Chandler and is like, oh my God, Chandler, I think Monica's cheating on you. I'm going to beat this guy up. He's doing that because he's a good friend. He's doing that for his friend because his friends are lying to him and he doesn't know that. And again, it's established that he's dumb, so he would not know that, but it's like Joey is always doing the right thing. Phoebe doesn't have a dad. She doesn't have anybody to walk her down the aisle. So Joey wants to do it. And then it makes for a good bit where Joey is pretending to be Phoebe's dad and is taking Paul Rudd's character. I think his name's Mike, but he's like, oh, Michael. He's like, he's being like the dad figure in the relationship. And it's funny, but it's also a good thing because he realizes that Phoebe doesn't have that person and he's trying to be that person for Phoebe. And I just love Joey. He's a good guy. Like, he is dumb, but he is emotionally intelligent. He knows who his friends are. He does things for his friends. He likes his friends. And another thing, Joey falls in love with Rachel because he's helping her with the baby and he wants to be a dad. It's incredibly emotional. It's actually making me sad thinking about it because he doesn't have anything because the writers don't do anything with him. He doesn't have a relationship. All he has is that he acts, and for the most part, they don't even show him actually acting. Like, yes, there are parts where he's doing theater, and then where he gets the job as Drake Ramore, and they show us a couple of times of him being on set, but other than that, Joey is just hanging out talking about his acting job. But anyway, he falls in love with Rachel because he's spending so much time with her because they're living together. He's helping out with the baby. He's helping her with, like, her appointments, and he feels guilty because he loves Rachel even though Ross loves her, right? He feels guilty, so he doesn't pursue it because he doesn't know how Ross would feel. Do you think that if Ross fell in love with somebody that Joey used to love or loves, that Ross would even think twice about it? That Chandler would think twice about it? I have an answer for Chandler. He didn't, because he kissed Joey's girlfriend. So Joey feels guilty about falling in love with Rachel because, one, he doesn't want to ruin the friendship with Rachel, but he also feels bad for Ross, even though Ross wouldn't give a second fuck about what Joey feels. And it's ridiculous. It's so frustrating. And then they also do a thing where he spills his heart out to Rachel and she doesn't feel the same, and then have the nerve in the next season to make Rachel fall in love with Joey, but then him say no because he doesn't want to ruin their friendship. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. The writers couldn't write a meaningful thing at all. There's also a funny bit where Phoebe is covering for Rachel for being pregnant, and Joey, thinking that Phoebe is pregnant, proposes to her because he wants to raise the baby with her. And I thought that this was actually a really good moment because, again, I said that I like their little flirtiness back and forth. But if you put Joey and Phoebe together because she's pregnant, I thought that that was really cute. And then it turns out that it's Rachel, and they find out that it's Rachel, and then he turns and proposes to Rachel. And it was basically like a joke that he just wanted to propose to somebody because they were pregnant and he thought that they would say yes, which, it's a funny joke, but I thought it held more weight if Joey only wanted to propose to Phoebe because she was pregnant and he wanted to be with Phoebe, not he was wanting to be with whoever is pregnant. But yeah, I just thought I wrote that down and I wanted to mention that because I thought that that was a really cute moment for Joey to actually like sound super sincere to Phoebe and want to be with her just for him to be like, oh, wait, it's Rachel? Rachel, do you want to? Whatever, you know what I mean? And finally, we have Ross, the worst character in the entire show. Again, this character, Ross, has a kid at the start of the show. This kid disappears. He's a terrible father, doesn't want to be around him. The back and forth with Ross and Rachel is garbage, nonsense. I don't need it. Ross tries to sleep with his cousin at one point because he gets drunk. A lot of Ross's jokes is that he has like some weird anger issues and that he talks in a high-pitched voice. And then also another reason why Ross is the worst is when he finds out that Joey respectfully tells Ross that he has feelings for Rachel on a one-on-one man conversation, and Ross has the nerve to actively get mad at Joey as if he hasn't been mistreating or him and Rachel haven't been on and off for fucking years. It's so ridiculous. He wants to be there for Rachel and the kid when Rachel gets pregnant. But then once they have a kid, once Emma is born in this show, she fucking disappears and it's explained that Emma is with Rachel's mom. And it's like, I don't know. I don't even really want to read the rest of like what I have written down here. Yeah, I don't even really want to read what I have that's written down for Ross because he's just the worst and I don't like him. The first season with the monkey is fucking bad. It's stupid. I don't even ever want to think about rewatching it. In the background, I don't even want to think about rewatching it. And like he's the worst and he has some funny jokes, he has some good stuff, but oh man, I don't get it. Here's the biggest problem that I have with Ross, and this is the main factor that ties into why I don't understand who this show is for. There's an episode where Ross and Monica's parents are coming to visit, and Chandler is there, which is a weird thing because they do a retcon because it's like the first time like they're acting like they've ever met Chandler, even though it's been explained that Chandler has been friends with Ross for a long time. But anyway, Ross was smoking weed at his house or whatever, and his parents found out that somebody was smoking weed. Ross, being a bad person just like everybody else in the friend group, blames Chandler for that. Okay? He held up this lie for years. At this point in the show, Ross is basically 30 years old, and he's afraid to tell his parents that he smoked weed one time in college when he was an adult, by the way. When you are in college, you are an adult. 18, 19, 20, yes, you are young, and I don't, like, that's a weird age, 18, 19, 20. You are technically an adult, but you are still a kid at the same time. But he was in college, and he smoked weed one time. And he blamed it on Chandler. But Kai, it was the 90s, and weed was really, like, was looked way different on than 2026. I don't care. You're 30 years old. Why are you scared of your fucking parents? Why are you scared to tell your parents, oh, I smoked weed 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago? And so he continues to blame Chandler. Being an adult afraid of his parents, continues to blame Chandler. And then Monica, because she wants them to think highly of Chandler because she is dating him, she goes, no, that was you, Ross. And then Ross goes, oh, well, Monica did this back in high school. It's sibling shit that I get it, right? I have siblings, okay? That dynamic of being an older brother, younger sister dynamic never goes away. But the high pitch, well, Chandler was doing this, and well, Ross was doing that. That is for high school girls. That comedy, that is for high school children. But then you'll have the next scene, them talking about Chandler and Monica having freaky sex, and I don't get who some of this comedy is for, because you have high school level humor and then adult level humor mixed together, and maybe that's what they're going for, but for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't find Ross falling over or putting on too tight of pants or talking high-pitched baby voice. I don't find that to be adult humor, and I don't find that funny because I'm an adult. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this show that I didn't like, and I'm not going to act like I didn't laugh at any of it, but god damn, man. some of this show is so formulaic and you're conditioned to laugh at things that aren't that funny. It's just because it plays a laugh track. I think I'm probably going to get shredded apart for these opinions. I am probably going to get fucking hate. And if that is the case, that's okay. I understand that there's cult fans of this show that love this show and this show can do no wrong. But this show has problems and I'm going to stand by it. And like, again, there might be some stuff that I'm missing. Maybe Joey isn't as great of a person as I'm making it out of, or maybe there's a bunch of examples of the rest of the friends being good people. But what stuck out to me is Joey is a good friend because he actually cares about his friend's feelings, and no other friend really gives a shit for the most part. But anyway, let me know your feelings. I know this video is incredibly long, and I'm sorry. There's just so much that I wanted to say for a 10-season show. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, even if you disagree with me. Let's have a discussion. Have a good day.